everyone to the channel. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for new video notifications.
The Misfits, the heroes no one expected. Written by Tracey Chatman, read by Casey Chatman. Preface. When I began writing The Misfits, I didn't want to tell a story about heroes who had everything together. I wanted to tell a story about the people who never fit the mold, those who were overlooked, underestimated, and counted out. I wanted to show that sometimes the world's truest warriors are the ones no one expects to fight. This book was born out of faith in reality. Life doesn't hand out perfect bodies, minds, or circumstances, but it does give us purpose, and purpose never needs perfection to thrive. The Misfits are living proof that strength isn't measured by what we have, but by what we do with what's left. Each character represents something I believe is sacred: grace under fire, laughter through pain, and courage born from broken places. Eli, Zuri, Luke, Mateo, Courtney, Jonah, Naomi, and the others each carry a reflection of all of us, the pieces that feel too small, too strange, or too flawed to matter. But in God's story, those are often the pieces He uses first. If you find yourself in a place where you feel unseen, unheard, or unqualified, I hope this story whispers the truth back to you. You are neither forgotten nor disqualified. Your limitations are not the end. They are the invitation to begin. As you turn the last page, remember this: heroes don't always fly. Sometimes they roll, limp, stutter, or stumble their way into victory. And every step, every breath, every act of faith still shakes the gates of darkness. To the misfits of this world, keep standing. The world may not understand you, but heaven surely does. Tracey Chatman. For every soul that ever felt out of place, you were made to stand apart. Chapter 1. The World is Blind. The year is 2035. 15 years into a new millennium, humanity strutted with the confidence of progress while ignoring the cracks beneath its feet. Technology had advanced, cities had sprawled, and entertainment had saturated every corner of the globe. And yet, for all its brilliance, the world seemed strangely unchanged, as if the last decade and a half had been one long rerun. If you look closely, though, there was something else. A faint vibration, like a string plucked too hard and left to tremble, echoed beneath everything. Some said it was the hum of machinery, the grid buzzing with too much demand. Others thought it was tinnitus, stress, or imagination, but the hum was real. It was steady, and for those who could sense it, it was a warning. Memphis, Tennessee, Tom Lee Park. Morning light rode down the Mississippi River like liquid fire, scattering across Tom Lee Park, where the city was stretching awake. Vendors set up stalls. Volunteers in neon vests arranged tables of water bottles. Runners jogged in place, adjusting bibs pinned to their shirts. Families strolled the walking path, snapping photographs against the skyline. It looked ordinary enough, beautiful even. But beauty in 2035 was always tangled with spectacle. At the riverfront fountain, a woman with bleach blonde hair positioned herself dramatically. She rolled up one pant leg, planted one bare foot in the water, and raised her phone with the authority of someone who had done this 100 times. Perfect balance can be achieved anywhere, she announced, to no one in particular, except the thousands she hoped were watching online. She leaned back, stretched one hand into the spray of the fountain, and held her phone up high to capture the shot. Then someone brushed past, bumping her shoulder. Her perfect pose collapsed. She yelped as she toppled into the fountain, landing with a splash that soaked her hair and makeup. Gas erupted, but not from concern. Phones whipped out instantly, capturing every anger. Laughter and hashtags rippled faster than hands reached to help. By the time she climbed out, dripping and embarrassed, another influencer had already slid into her spot, recreating the pose with flawless precision. Across the park, a group of teenagers practiced a TikTok dance. Their moves were sharp, rehearsed, synchronized, but their laughter wasn't directed at one another. It was aimed at their screens, at the numbers they hoped would climb after posting. Beside them, a man tossed a frisbee to his dog, who retrieved it and delivered it not to his master, but to a metal launcher that fired it skyward again. The man leaned back in his chair, sipping coffee, never moving. Phones outnumbered conversations. Even generosity had become performance. A booth near the park entrance was handing out free lunches. It was decorated with pastel banners, glossy posters of smiling children, and QR codes for donations. Cameras were mounted at all angles, flashing each time a bag changed hands. A man approached, hair unkempt, clothes ragged, eyes heavy with exhaustion. The volunteer smiled too brightly and handed him a bag. "Here you go, sir." "You matter," she said, just loud enough for the cameras to hear. The man shuffled away to a bench, hopeful, until he peeked inside. His shoulders slumped. No food. Just a trial-sized deodorant, a bottle of hand lotion, and a coupon for 10% off an oil change. His lips tightened. With sudden force, he hurled the bag across the park. It smacked into a drone hovering overhead. The machine spiraled down, bursting in a puff of glitter powder that covered a dozen onlookers. "Content!" someone shouted gleefully, holding up their phone. No one looked at the man again. Memphis voices. Not everyone at the park was lost in their screens. An old man sat on a bench, feeding pigeons from a paper sack. He muttered to himself as the birds cluttered around his shoes. They don't see it. Nobody sees it. A street preacher stood near the edge of the park, holding a weathered Bible above his head. "Repent," he cried. "The end draws near, and you scroll your lives away." Most passerbys laughed or turned up their music. Someone filmed him, adding clown emojis in real time. Nearby, a young couple argued as they attempted to take a selfie with the river behind them. "Tilt the phone higher," the woman insisted. "It makes my face look thin." "Your face is fine," the man muttered, clearly irritated. "We've been at this for 20 minutes. "Just one more time," she pleaded. "If you love me, you'd try harder." The old man on the bench sighed. The preacher shouted louder. The pigeons scattered, and still the hum pressed on, unheard beneath it all. Zoom out, thousands of miles away. Sunlight struck the turquoise waters of Koh Lanti Yae in Thailand. Travel blogs called it paradise, but paradise had been partitioned. Where fishermen once docked their boats, luxury yachts now bobbed. The waterfalls were walled off by fences bearing resort logos. Access was only for guests who had purchased the waterfall package. The sacred caves, once places of prayer, had been converted into boutique hotel rooms with mood lighting and minibars. The Chalet people still smiled. They carried luggage, served drinks, offered warm greetings, but behind their eyes there was weariness. A young man carried a suitcase twice his size up a steep staircase, while a tourist barked orders into her phone, not once looking up at him. At the top, she gestured without speaking, then turned away. The man placed the bag carefully, bowed slightly, and left. On his way down, he paused by a small shrine hidden in the shadow of the hotel. He touched the carved wood with reverence and whispered a prayer, unheard beneath the laughter of the tourist. The hum was there too. It rattled faintly in the glass windows of the resort. A guest frowned, glancing at her champagne flute. "Did you hear that?" she asked her husband. "Probably just the AC," he said, not looking up from his tablet. Tokyo. Shibuya Crossing. Now zoom further. Tokyo, Japan. Shibuya Crossing. The busiest intersection in the world. The lights changed. The crowd surged forward. Hundreds of bodies moved at once, weaving past one another like currents in a river. Neon signs flashed overhead. Giant screens plastered advertisements, anime mascots, and political slogans. The air was filled with train announcements, vending machine jingles, and the chatter of tourists. For a moment, it was exhilarating. The organized chaos of a city in motion. Then the hum spiked. It vibrated through the concrete, through the soles of shoes. A flash streaked across the sky. Time itself stuttered. The crowd paused mid-step, heads tilting upward. Some blinked in confusion. A woman clutched her child tighter. A man dropped his coffee, eyes wide. It felt like a tremor, but there had been no quake. Then, as quickly as it came, it passed. The signal changed again. People moved forward as if nothing happened. Someone muttered, "Weird," and pulled out their phone to tweet about it. Above them, unseen, the fracture widened by a hairline. The fracture. It wasn't the earth that was cracking, it was the veil. For centuries, the natural and the supernatural had coexisted, layered but separated. Humanity lived its days blind to the other realm, while angels and shadows watched from beyond the thin curtain. Now, the curtain had been pierced. Like a chip in a windshield, the damage was small, but left unchecked, it would spread. Birds across multiple cities took flight at the same moment, wheeling in frantic circles. Dogs barked at empty alleys. Infants wailed without cause. Streetlights flickered. Radios buzzed with static. The hum deepened, rattling through the bones of the world. Most people ignored it. A few shivered, unsettled, but quickly found distraction. And in a modest apartment in Memphis, a man named Eli Mitchell froze with his coffee halfway to his lips. One of his eyes saw the city as it appeared, ordinary, bustling, alive. The other saw the truth. The hum was louder here, louder than it had ever been. It filled his head, pressing at his temples until his heart pounded. He set his cup down with trembling hands. The pigeons outside his window started taking off all at once. Something was coming. Eli didn't know what, but he knew this. The world had just shifted, and he could no longer stay invisible.